All right. How we doing, everybody?
Good, good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm blessed. I mean, it's great being out here with you all. Y'all are literally the inspiration. You know, like I want to be the next Red, next Chardon. Like they set the example. I'll end up going to Ivy League, but nah, it's okay. I love you. I love TK. Go Balls. But yeah, I mean, we're here today to see how y'all figured it out, how y'all did it, and what advice y'all can have or y'all have for any people in high school trying to get to the same place as y'all are now. So that being said, I think King's on the phone with Andrew right now. I think. All right, he'll come back later. But if y'all didn't know already, this is leadership outreach. This video series was designed for students like me who really needed more mentorship, more advice when it comes to different things like leadership, STEM, how to code, how to apply to college, all these different things that to help them get to places where you all are now, right? You all are successful minority students at Ivy League schools. I would say y'all are very successful. So it's great to hear from you all today. And of course, you all give yourselves a little introduction, name, major, and university.
Okay, I guess I'll start. My name is Anya, but I go by Red, and I study computer science and art, film, and visual studies at Harvard.
Yeah, I can go next. My name is Chardon. I just finished my first year at Princeton University, and I'm looking to study public policy and minor in cognitive science.
Okay. Um, we're gonna wait. We gotta figure some stuff out. Hold on. Bad job. So I just edit this part out and stuff.
Chardon up joining us today.
You ain't coming on.
Nah, she's
I assumed as much.
up and away doing something. So yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, you ready to officially start?
Yeah, let's start. Are you ready to record, right?
Yeah, it's already recording. They'll just edit it out.
Yeah, it's just for the video. So hello everyone, my name is Hakim and I'm the co-founder of the Technology Outreach Foundation. Today is our first segment of the Leadership Podcast, aka the Foundation. So welcome everyone. Today I'm here with my founder, Andrew Ellis, and two amazing people who at the young age are trailblazers in their field. So before we start introductions, let's let Andrew say a couple words.
Yeah, so the leadership outreach series was made for students who want to become successful, specifically minority students who want to become successful in STEM. And so we have two people here who are going to Ivy League universities. Not all are majoring in STEM, but they are really good examples that I want the audience, you all, to be able to get some really good insights and advice from. So again, we'll be interviewing these two lovely people, but in the future we'll be interviewing more people. Um, More minorities in STEM, may not even be in STEM, just successful minority leaders, students, and hopefully you all have something positive to take away from today's meeting. So, hey, get into it. Introductions. So, please state your name, university, and major. Oh, and describe your college experience in 3 words so far.
Oh, okay. My name is Anya, but I go by Red, and I'm studying computer science and art, film, and visual study at Harvard. And I think 3 words for my college experience would be challenging, connective, and growth.
I like it. I like it.
All right. My name is Chardon Black. I'm studying public policy at Princeton with a minor in cognitive science. And my college experience so far, in 3 words, it's probably been too much work.
I've been seeing you're very involved up there in Princeton, man. You,
Absolutely.
if you want, if all of them on LinkedIn, by the way, and then we'll put the focus up somewhere up here. But
Yeah, plug your social page, guys.
man, yep. All right. So these two people, we're all of us are in a program called MS Squared. It stands for Minority Students in STEM, and it's essentially a 3-week summer program where they fly minorities, about 100 minority students from the country, all out to Phillips Academy. It's one of the best boarding schools in the world, and we take science and math classes. But we also get college counseling courses, college counseling, identity, and English. And we're essentially a really big family up there. Um, so everyone who we have 3 years of course, first, second, and third. And there's this thing called cultural sharing, um, which is basically a large play and an opportunity for the minority students on campus to showcase their culture, literally cultural sharing, right? Sharing culture. And so these two lovely people were culture sharing leaders, and it's a really good experience. I was a culture sharing leader as well, but um, seeing that they've always also been in college now, those skills that they've learned from being culture sharing leaders have also transferred over. So, um, what does being a cultural sharing leader mean to you all? And what did it mean to you all back then too? Did it change?
Right?
um, okay, I think for me, being a culture sharing leader was really important, still is in so many ways because um, it's just such a great way to kind of be able to express yourself in a way that you can also showcase your culture, and not just for the two different other minority groups and part of MS squared, but for also the other groups on Phillips campus in general. And I think that's like really important because, like, again, just being able to, because some of the foundations of MS squared is community and identity. And so being able to have this cross cultural exchange with other identities on campus has always been really great. And for me, it was just a really important mission, I guess, to be able to effectively and eloquently express um, our take on the Afro culture, along with Chardon and Adriana, was really nice. And I think even now, like at Harvard, there's not like cultural sharing leaders, but there's still ways to get involved and share your culture with other people. And for me, um, because even like while I was a culture sharing leader, my favorite part was definitely the dance part. And so even at Harvard, like there are still other ways, there's so many ways that I share my culture through dance. And so, um, in a way, I've taken what I've done at MS Squared and continue to expand on it at Harvard.
Oh, it sounds amazing. What about you, Chardon?
Yeah. So at the time, it was just an opportunity for, I guess, leadership. It was an opportunity for me to really lead that group of students alongside Red and Andriana and put on an amazing performance. Ultimately, as it's evolved and I've not been a cultural sharing leader in all these years, I've come to realize the value of it a lot more, specifically because it was probably one of the first times in my life where I had the opportunity to express my blackness and my culture sort of unabashedly at a predominantly white institution. And I've grown a strong appreciation for this idea that, we were stepping on stage and expressing ourselves through poetry in front of a bunch of primarily Caucasian individuals because it was an opportunity for me to build my confidence. And it also taught me a lot about how I navigate at Princeton, how I present my blackness at Princeton, and how confident I am in my culture. And so, yeah, over time, I've really grown to appreciate it outside of just the leadership sense, but more so in the, how comfortable I am in my culture.
Y'all hear it? No, we can't hear you, bro. Maybe it's the
Is this
AirPod.
better?
Yes, that's way better. Yeah,
Okay, should start with them. All right. So speaking of how you guys talk about being a culture change leader at prestigious schools like Harvard and Princeton, is there any way you could see like how would your experience at those places be if you weren't a culture change leader? Do you like was it so paramount to the fact that it's hard to see yourself without that knowledge and that experience?
Um, I'm gonna say no, just because like being a culture sharing leader was absolutely great, but I think in the same way that me, Chardon, and Adriana were tasked to kind of inspire other people through being a culture sharing leader, I still think just being a part of culture sharing was still a way to learn how to inspire other people. Like in a sense, we were just kind of like again like leading people through this play, right? But the people who were participating in the play were also still leading and inspiring in different ways. And so I don't think necessarily being a cultural sharing leader has completely transformed my experience at college. And I think even if I wasn't a cultural sharing leader, I still would kind of, my college experience would still unfold in a very similar way.
valid.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I agree at a high level. Some of those softer skills like crowd control when you're trying to manage maybe 30, 20 people, I've used at Princeton, learning how to project your voice, learning how to guide people. Overall, it hasn't changed my entire sort of who I am at Princeton, but I think softer skills like organizing meetings. There were so many Zoom calls we had where we were late at night writing the script or, planning agendas. I think some of those softer skills are a lot of the things that came with being a culture sharing leader. And while I might not use them every single day, they certainly come in handy.
Okay.
For sure. If y'all didn't know, by the way, we were second years while they were third years. So we got to see them like straight up firsthand lead the entire group and lead us into an amazing play. If y'all want to watch it, y'all can actually. I don't think they want to watch it though. Well, do y'all want them to watch it? Link will be put on somewhere y'all could go find it.
That's actually the one play I'm in. I'm not even in the other one. So yeah, go check that out.
Yeah, I mean they have MS Square's been a thing for a very long time, guys. So there's culture sharing from like what 1990, um, all the way through. There's and then there's the most recent one too. There's gonna be another one coming soon in July. I will see, but yeah, it's definitely something that we remember. All of us remember. All of us remember the practices, the stress, coming all I think coming together and being happy on that last day. So yeah, culture sharing is definitely something amazing. And if you get the chance to experience it, then you should. That's why MS Squared is so special.
And just speaking to the specialty of MS squared, Drew, you're on it. And the next question, even we could attest to this. What ways do you say MS squared shaped your understanding of identity, culture, community, and all the things that those 5 weeks are to represent?
Um, I think for me, being at MS Squared, such a very stark example of those three words. Um, Especially in my year as a culture sharing leader, like there was definitely some like racism going on in the campus, and I think like from other groups, not between MS squared, but I think just being able to kind of band together within the African American group, but also the other two, the Latinx Native American groups, banding together to kind of try and solve these issues and trying to find an effective way for all of us to be on campus and still feel safe was a very like big example of community. Like there's like that's probably like the biggest like, out of my entire experience. If someone says community, that's the first thing that really comes to mind because we were all just trying to work together. Like we had several, like we had our morning meeting and we were talking about it at morning meeting. We even got together and created an emergency all morning meeting where, or not, an emergency all morning meeting for the entire like campus, all the programs on campus, and we were literally like coming up with what to say together, and it was just it was so representative of community, and obviously identity and culture are important in that as well, because we were all talking about what makes us us through our different identities and our different cultures, and why we too deserve to be here, which it's an unfortunate thing that we have to explain to other people like why we deserve to be here and why we shouldn't be experiencing racism. But again, like that experience was just such a great example of sharing identity and sharing culture through community.
That is very, very real.
And
Chardon,
experienced it firsthand.
yeah, you got different takes on what happened. I mean,
Yeah.
crazy. It
And
becomes
everyone's story is different. Like if you really go down that day, you go to everyone's point of view. It's like so many things happen, even like things that most people didn't notice. It was a time. It was a time.
for sure. Like, what's your memory of it, Chardon?
My memory of like the emergency meet, like like the second year.
Yeah, I think it was your second
Yeah,
year.
that was his second year.
Oh man, I one of the brightest things that I remember, and I sort of weave this into my answer to the question. When we had our emergency all meeting, all of us wore black in solidarity. You know, it was a point of community for us to all show that we're in support. And as we were all in black, these two individuals, they were white individuals, they walked over and they were like, "What's going on? What's going on?" And we were trying to explain it to them really quickly, like, just walk away. We're doing something. Please go. You're agitating the situation. And they were just very, very pressy and very, very nosy about it. And in that moment, I realized how nuanced and just complicated identity, culture, and community is. And that's a very general answer. But what I mean when I say that is so much of it is hatred. So much of it is also ignorant. So much of it is also curiosity. And even after that day, I was sort of put in an odd position because I was sort of enshrined into the administration, like alongside the active director of the summer program, and working on sort of different policies to try to help next year. I sort of saw a different side of a lot of things. And I think even then, it's so hard to change things from the outside, and it's so hard to do it not so hard to do it alone or try to do it, by yourself. And so I think when it comes to identity, culture, and community, overall, I'd say MS squared has taught me how things can be done well with many people. And, overcoming these nuanced issues can only be done by a joint understanding of many different people from many different backgrounds.
Word, man. That's like the whole exist. That's the exact that the whole existence of culture sharing is like built to be that bridge from ignorance. Like even before I came to MS Squared, like I was ignorant about um Hispanic culture. I was ignorant about Latino culture. I was ignorant about oh my gosh, I know what their name is. Oh my god. Oh my god. I know what they bro. Native American. I don't know why it took me so long to say that, but I was ignorant of Native American culture. I never met a Native American in my life before I met Squared. And being able to learn about their culture and see like they're important too. They may experience some of the stuff racism like us, like they may experience it worse, or even stuff like that, like just all this type of stuff, like being less ignorant and more knowledgeable about other cultures, other races, other ideas, and other identities, and knowing what your place in the world is compared to everyone else's is really valuable. So what about you, Akeem?
I mean, even just to add on when Chardon said we're black in solidarity, like that just summed it up amazing because we're all sitting there. You have on the Latinx, and then you have the indigenous group, and then it's like in that moment you were all black, like because like at that point, like it didn't matter with who is light skinned, who is dark skinned, who spoke this language, who was enslaved to this country. In that time of trouble, in that time of just despair, everyone just said we're all black, and we all stood together in that because honestly, because we had to. Because I know you, no one want to go through that anymore than to have to come back the next year, or even me and Jude have to come back the next 2 years and have the same stories. It's disheartening, right? It ruins the program or ruins the nature of what the program is supposed to be. So I feel like that was just such a big moment, and honestly, it changed my view of racial and intersectionality for like the rest of my life. Like just thinking about it, how like when it comes down to it, we're all the same, especially in the eyes of people who feel as they are better than us.
Um, so some of the more positive things. One of the more positive things about Emma Square, we had a college counseling course, right? So, for the 5 weeks, third years, the year, they're going into their senior year. And the summer is the best time to start working on college applications. Juniors, rising seniors, if you're watching, start if you haven't started already. But don't click off the video. Wait and listen.
Start after the video. Yeah.
um, so tell us more about what you all did during that course. Like what were the things you did? What were the takeaways, positive things that happened?
Red actually has a unique story for her college application process that
I
I
don't
can't
know
wait
it.
to get to.
I don't
So
know it.
I don't know if you want to go first, but
I think I'll let Chardon go first.
all right.
Yeah, I can give sort of the traditional route. So, like Andrew was saying, third year of MS squared, we have these college counseling courses, and they're really just sort of support prep courses in which we do a bunch of different things. And so one of my favorite things that we did was going to different colleges, waking up at 6 a.m. and getting on a bus and eating dry bagels and driving to Trinity College, or I think we went to Brown, I think we went to Yale. And so those college trips were actually the first time that I've ever been on a university's campus, and that just speaks to what MS Squares does for its students. And so being at universities for the first time, that was a really big motivator for me to do the next aspect of the class, which was a lot of college essay prep. Sitting down, writing your essays, writing your personal statements. I didn't want to do any of that. But once I stepped foot on those campuses and realized that these were prestigious, beautiful places where intelligent people were, I started investing a lot into the writing aspect of the class. And so we're thinking about, how do we sum up our entire lives in 500 paragraphs? How do we sell ourselves to these people? Not literally in 500 paragraphs. And so that was sort of another aspect of the class. And then a final aspect of the class, I think, to my memory, was sort of networking with each other. And I think it was one of the last times in which the third years had a solidified space in which we all had what I call trauma bonding, where we all were sort of together at the same point, at the same process, and working together, fighting through essays to get through it all and to get through that college application process. And so those are sort of the three core, aspects of the college counseling course.
Sure, for sure. This year was a little different. Um, the kind of blended identity in college counseling for us. Um,
Yeah, we had an interesting summer.
yeah, it was interesting.
It was an interesting class for
I
sure.
definitely took the summer to try to finish as many essays as I could because I knew like as soon as I got back to school, like I wasn't gonna have a lot of time to do that. And even though I made time still, but it really helped me get a head start because if I start from scratch, I wouldn't have got as many scholarships, I wouldn't have written as many essays, it just wouldn't have happened. So but I'm ready to get into your story, Red. What happened, bro? I don't even know. I don't know the story. I don't know the context. I don't know
Right.
anything.
Okay, let me see. I'm gonna see if I can actually accurately say this timeline because my memory is like so bad. But essentially, I graduated a year early, right? So the way MS Square typically works is it's 3 summers, and your last summer is between your junior and senior year. So you like finish MS squared, and then you go off and finish your senior year of high school. So for me, I had actually I graduated my junior year, so I basically graduated school and then came to MS squared that last summer, which was very interesting. I would say that it was like it was fun because like y'all they were doing, they were having their college counseling courses, and I was kind of just like not doing anything, just obviously I like helped out if like someone asked me a question, but like it was very interesting because I also went on the trip, so I was just like touring all these schools, which was funny enough also my first time going on to a college campus, but it was just interesting because it was like I'm like going to all these schools and I already know what school I'm going to, but it was still fun. Like I got to see Brown, and I was like really shocked by Brown's campus, and it was really nice. But yeah, so basically I had already started applying, like kind of after my second year of MS squared, because I don't think I was writing stuff in my second year. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of started the application process a little late, so don't do that. But I was like writing the stuff. I think maybe a couple of months before I actually applied. Um, like 1 or 2 months, and it was like it wasn't anything super special. Like I think we had a couple of college counseling classes my second year, not a lot, definitely not like enough to be as helpful as it is for third years, like the traditional path. But it was like I did learn a little bit, and then from with the rest of that I just kind of went on YouTube and started looking at how to apply and how to write essays. And I was like very specific. Like I typed in like how to apply to like Harvard and like Ivy Leagues, because it's a little bit different when you're applying to like higher education, like higher, more prestigious institutions than like maybe schools with a higher acceptance rate, just because they're more selective, obviously. So you have to be like very particular about your application. But I was mostly using like YouTube and stuff to write my application and figure all that stuff out. But it was like nothing crazy. Like it was mostly just me trying to figure it out by myself, and then I asked some of the college counselors like over email if I needed like any help, and they were helpful as well. But yeah, and then got in, and then came to MS squared, and still had a great time. So
I have
Yeah,
to say, I have to say, I vividly remember sitting in Trinity College's info session and the guy looking at Red, directly at Red, and saying, when you guys go to college next year, not realizing that she had already been accepted into Harvard. And it's one of my core memories from that class because it was so funny. And I wanted to say it so bad, but that was my business. And so I just sort of had to watch him be in the not in the know. I just had to add that.
yeah, it was kind of funny, like just like going to these schools and hearing them talk about like taking stuff seriously and all that stuff, and like applying, and like yes, that was true for everyone else, but for me, I kind of was just like, it was like just field trips. It was like fun little field trips for me because I had already gotten in, but it was still informative. Like I was paying attention. I wasn't being distracted. I was still having fun. Don't worry.
Just a fun little field trip to the best schools in the world. Casual Wednesday, top of the morning.
partying like
Nah.
whatever. But no, I forgot, bro. I forgot about that. Yeah.
I don't know if y'all noticed. I shed the tear when she talked about seeing Brown was because a tour got canceled.
My God,
Um,
it got
yeah,
canceled. Yo,
there was a heat wave or something that day.
I'm like, I don't care. I'm not
Yeah,
coming back.
yeah. But they didn't give us the
One time
tour, and
campus.
I was upset. I was like, dang, because I heard Brown's campus is really nice.
I'm saying.
So from what I saw, it was okay. It was pretty okay, but that's really just the admin building. So yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
it was still a good experience nonetheless. I think our year we went to MIT, Brown.
MIT.
Where else did we go?
UMass, Holy
Yeah,
Cross. Yeah, I think we kept it local. I think our year was a little more local of a year.
yeah. Oh, we went to Dartmouth too. I forgot about that.
We
Dartmouth.
went to Dartmouth. We went to Harvard, but not on a field trip. We just went When we went to Boston, yeah, we're nerds. It's okay. uh, but yeah, Red, you even touched on this, like, applying to higher institutions is a whole different ball game than just Common App. So, what advice you would give to students applying to said institutions, and they come from your similar background, right? They're black or brown, they don't have the greatest. I don't know what you guys stats were, but they might not have the greatest SAT score, or they didn't go to a top school in the nation where 10% of the seats at these institutions are reserved for schools like this, right? They don't have every AP in the world, right? They just went to the good old public high school and got some good grades and they shooting for the stars. Like, what advice would you give?
Um, I would say like at least for my school and for a lot of Ivy Leagues that that I was also planning to apply to was that the biggest thing is that they look for people who are trying to pave their own path. And so for me, I went to like a public school where it's kind of funny because the public school I went to mostly sent people to like the school I live in Kentucky, so they must send people to like University of Louisville, University of Kentucky, maybe some Tennessee schools. But then our rival school was the one that sent people to like really, really big schools. So it was kind of like interesting. So we didn't really like obviously our for public education, like it was still good and great. But like even when I was applying to like go to Ivy Leagues, there wasn't really much like Ivy League specific help. So basically, again, like I said, I was like looking at things on YouTube. Like I had to do it all myself. And so my biggest advice really is to just in your application, like make it very clear how you paved your own path. Like, yes, you don't go to Phillips Academy. You didn't go there for high school. Okay. So what? You're still applying and you're still doing this and you're still doing that and you're still paving your own way to get to this school. And so like that's the biggest thing is that's going to help make you stand out is showing them that even though you didn't have all this stuff given to you didn't have all this stuff handed to you, you still paved a way. You still, because like for my school, like you could only really take APs, I think, your junior year and your senior year. So I could only take APs in the last year of my high school, but I still took 7 APs, which is still more than people who had 4 years of high school. So the thing is like it's more about like you trying your best to get what you can get. Like even though it's difficult, you're just trying and you're showing them in your application that you tried. Um, Graduating early, I had to take classes online, so that's already showing them like one, I'm kind of organized because it takes a lot of organization to do that. Again, being able to take 7 AP, like I took 5 APs in my junior year, which is a lot. Like it's a lot, but showing them that you're able to handle that course load, even like when it's like kind of out the norm, like just being able to show them that you're making your own way and paving your own path, and you're not doing the same thing everyone else is doing because you are different. Like I think that's like the biggest thing because again, these people are like reading through so many applications in one day. Like, think about yourself. Like if you're sitting in a test and you're like reading, like you have a reading test, you're gonna get tired like reading all that stuff, right? So it's the same thing for these people reading these applications. Like they get really tired quickly, and if it's just the same boring regurgitated information, they're throwing it away. Like you got like 2 seconds to impress them, and the easiest way you can do that is by standing out and showing them that you're not like the person they read before. You're not like the person they're reading after you. So that's my biggest advice is just presenting yourself, because again, like Chardon said, not literally, but you're selling, like they're a business, you're selling yourself to them. So like you're trying to make yourself stand out as much as possible, the same way you would in like an interview and a job and anything. That's my biggest advice.
Real quick before you answer, Chardon, what schools did y'all apply to and where did y'all get in? I know Chardon, you did Questbridge, so it was a little different.
Okay, so I applied restrictive early action to Harvard. So all the schools I was gonna apply to, I just ended up not applying to them.
She just like that, guys. She doesn't need
Kind of real.
Like,
You get into Harvard, you don't.
yeah, one and done. I mean, shake the really out. Yeah, I mean, what else is there really?
Okay. What did what did you rank like on your match list, Chardon? He did
Yeah.
quite well.
So for those of you who don't know Questbridge, it's basically this sort of national organization that matches you with a full ride college to different, and they have different partner colleges, Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Dartmouth. I think all the Ivies now. But yeah, the process is you apply to them, you get in, and then you apply to the schools, and they send your application saying, "Hey, this is one of our Questbridge scholars. Can you look at their application?" And if you match with them, you get a full ride. And so you rank the schools after you're a Questbridge finalist. I ranked Princeton number one. And so I got into my number. I applied to 11. And so I had to do supplemental applications for 11 and then ended up not needing all 11 of the
Right.
supplemental applications because I got my number one. But on the bright side, I found out December 1st. And so I was really good for the rest of our senior year. I was sitting in our senior year class, just sort of staring at everyone else. It was kind of like red over the summer.
Yeah, I'm actually a little salty because when I like went to apply at that time, Harvard wasn't on Questbridge, and I was like really struggling. Like I had asked like the college counselors multiple times. I was like, I don't know what to do because I want to apply through Questbridge because it's like it's a great way to apply, but I also really want to get into Harvard and Harvard
Right.
Questbridge. So I'm happy I took the risk of not doing Questbridge and just applying to Harvard because obviously it worked out for me. But it just goes to show there's like so many different ways to apply to schools. Like there's so many different paths. But at least they're on there now. So if you wanna go to Harvard, you can do Questbridge.
Go Questbridge.
Yeah.
Um, Chardon, were you a college prep scholar?
No.
Okay.
Did you
That's one of the biggest things. I wanted to be a college prep scholar, but then that February, there was a lot going on, and so I never finished my application. And you don't know how worried I was when I realized that like I wasn't going to be a college prep scholar and I was going to have to apply as a completely new person. But I think that's one of the biggest things is college prep scholars is a good way to engage, but if you really, really want it, you can show that in the passion of your essays, the passion of your extracurriculars, your recommendation letters, and you can show them that though you weren't a college prep scholar then, you are a national college match scholar now.
So what are some of the things you all did throughout high school? Like I know, Red, you said you took 5 APs in 1 year. Like what else? What are some of the things that you all did that kind of made you all stand out?
Um, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of surprised I got into Harvard because I didn't do that much. Like, I really didn't. Like, I had probably like one award, and it was from being in ROTC. That's about it. But I did do like, I think it was like Hobie. It was like some volunteer service thing. And then I think, obviously, like graduating early was I think a big key factor in my application, and again like taking 7 APs was also helpful. um, I did stuff outside of school, which I think was also a big thing. Like I fostered puppies for a long time, like since fifth grade. I have been fostering puppies, which was like a good way to show like commitment and also stuff outside of school. And I think that one of the biggest things, also not like biggest things, but like one of the biggest things that I did in school and was most committed to was wrestling. I wrestled for 2 years, and both years I was like consolation champion, which is like not, it's not like the greatest thing, but it was like it for women's wrestling in Kentucky, which wasn't sanctioned at the time I was wrestling. It really just means that you only lost your first match and you won every match after that. So it was still a pretty good like it was still a pretty good title. But yeah, those are probably like the biggest things. I didn't really do much with like for real. I think being just being an early grad and my essays, because my admissions officer told me she really liked my essays. I think those were like the biggest things that helped me, to be honest. So yeah, I didn't really do much. I think Chardon did a lot more than me, to be honest. So maybe that'd be more helpful.
Yeah, in high school, I organized my extracurriculars into two buckets. There was the internal, sort of in school, and there was the external, sort of out of school. And so my internal bucket was a lot of extracurriculars that were, like I said, in school. And so I had mock trial. I loved mock trial because I got to pretend to be a lawyer and make arguments at people. And that was amazing. I had student council. I was student council president. That was really fun because I was student council president for 2 years, yeah, yeah. And that was really fun because it was a lot of fundraising and planning events and putting things together from scratch. That was really, really motivating, seeing something, an idea really go from numbers on a paper, letters on a paper to like an actual event with people. And so I did that. I did a lot of APs. I loved AP classes. I took bio, computer science. I loved psychology and history and Lang. And so I did a lot of APs, but luckily our school sort of just you could fight the counselor and say, give it to me, and you could get classes earlier. And so I took AP computer science my freshman year, AP US history my sophomore year, and then I was like, oh, I need more APs. I'd like more APs. And so I took government, psych, Lang. I just started taking more and more, and that was really engaging. That was really fun. And yeah, external bucket was a series of sort of outside things. And so I sort of had yearly activities that I'd get up to. One of the core activities I had was something called Minds Matter. And, Minds Matter is a college prep program year round, and they have different chapters in major cities throughout the US. And so, Minds Matter, I'd get up every Saturday and go into their office. They had like different offices, and, you'd stay there for 8 hours working with other people on your college application or meeting alumni from different colleges or working on scholarships. And so that was one of my big things that showed my sort of determination, being willing to get up at 9 a.m. and spend 8 hours in a random office working on college stuff. And then my sophomore year, I had a national sort of competition where we worked to design. This was back when I was still STEM. We worked to design this project for mobility for older people. We got third in the country. That was really fun. My junior year, I had the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society fundraiser for about 5 months out of the school year. In my senior year, I was in working on college applications. So that was my external and internal buckets.
So you heard it from himself. He already
Yeah, well,
before senior year. Before senior year. You try to start some senior year, bro, it's gonna look like this dude just trying to get in. He not really passionate. If he was
I didn't know you could take US history as a sophomore.
every school is different, man. Like
Nah,
I took world freshman year and they gave me science, computer science principle, and then I took like a whole bunch of other stuff. My school's different. We focus on dual enrollment and stuff, but yeah.
also Chardon. I saw something that said, forgive me if I'm wrong, you're a presidential scholar.
Yes.
Yes. How does that process work?
So I'm going to give you the sort of backing up. So I applied Questbridge my uh uh s- senior year. I applied Questbridge. Then I got in December 1st and it was like there's nothing else for me to do with my life. So then I applied for the Gates scholarship. And that was really fun because Red is also a Gates scholar. And so I did a lot of stalking of like her LinkedIn and everything because I really wanted to be a Gates scholar as well. I got the Gates scholarship, shameless plug. But what Questbridge does is the United States Department of Education selects two people from every state every year to be U.S. presidential scholars. And that's out of applications of basically every single high school senior. The U.S. Department will send out a application to that school saying, hey, you have someone who is eligible. Because I got Questbridge, I was one of the 20 people Questbridge selected out of their 2,500 people class to apply. So they basically had a special application that they could choose 20 people to receive. And so I submitted that. So Questbridge selected me as one of their 20 people. And then I submitted my application. And that was a big application. I needed like a recommender, but the recommender had to do 7 different essays about me in different aspects about me. And I needed to do maybe 10 different ones. It was then reviewed by the US Department of Education and then a commission at the White House. And I got it in May. And so, yeah, I was one of two scholars from Ohio in 2024.
No
That
worries.
crazy.
Yeah.
When they told us about LinkedIn, bro, me and Hakim were stalking LinkedIn the entire summer, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, well, maybe he wasn't, but I was. I was. I was like, bro, this dude's stacked. He got Questbridge, Gates,
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
was like, what does he not have? But
His school getting paid for a double time. Like,
yeah. So these two people are very, very successful got into these schools. I mean, I think you all summed it up perfectly. Um, you all can tell, just the audience, you all can tell that they're two very passionate people. Um, that's what they take. Very passionate people who want to make a difference in the world about something. You don't have to do what Chardon did. You can do what Red did. Not specific. Not. No, I'm not saying literally. Don't do what they. You're gonna be the exact same person, and they don't want two exact same people on campus at the same time.
Right.
You
These
got
are
to.
just examples of what you can do and what it takes, and then like how the roads to get there. There's so many roads to get there. You just gotta do the right things.
Exactly. So y'all have done arguably the harder part, or the hardest part about
Yeah.
getting in. Now you're here. Y'all may have different opinions on that. I mean, I haven't actually been in college yet, but would you say being there is harder than getting in?
I would say once you get in, it doesn't stop. Like even at Harvard, you still have to like you have to apply to be in clubs. So it's like you're always still applying. Like it's I wouldn't say like getting in is the hardest part because honestly, I think might be a hot topic, but I think getting in is a little bit of luck as well because at the end of the day, like you don't know who's reading your application. Like it could be someone who has a lot of prejudice. It could be someone who's just having a bad day. So there's a little bit of luck in getting in, and or blessings, however you want to see it. And so I don't think getting in is like end all be all. Again, like I said, like even at my school, like you're still applying and you're still getting rejections after rejections while you're there. So it kind of just like depends on your school for sure. But yeah, don't think it ends after you get in. A lot more going on.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. And this is what someone told me at graduation. Getting into college is a validation of your academic prowess and the level you have achieved in high school. Now you have to continue at that level and get higher and higher. And so overall, it does not necessarily get easier. It gets funner, it gets more engaging. You feel a lot more free in college than you do in high school, but it's a lot more complicated. Like Red said, you still have to apply to get into clubs. You still have to apply to different conferences and different things that you want to go to. And so getting into college is that first amazing step, and it's a validation of everything you've done thus far, but it's not the end. And this is something that I'm working on at Princeton is understanding, the fact that I have not yet peaked in life and that Princeton is one step in a very, very long path where I will continue to grow and continue to change. And so, no, it does not get easier, but that's not necessarily a hard thing or a bad thing. That's not necessarily a bad thing.
And I'll also
Right.
say, like, because when you're applying for college, it's competitive, yes, but like the proximity to the competitiveness, you're not really close to the competitiveness. Like, you don't know all these people you're competing against. But when you're in college, it's like you can kind of feel, like, you can choke on competitiveness. Like I know, just being at Harvard, like just walking on that campus, like you can feel it. It's just like there's so much because there are people like some people you might even be friends with. You're applying to the same things. So I'll also say like once you get to college, especially a college like Harvard or Princeton or Stanford where there is competitiveness, pick and choose your friends very very wisely because some people will only see you as competition. So you just want to be aware of that because you're really close. The proximity to competitiveness is really close in college. Like so, yeah, it's just a whole thing.
Right, right, right. Well, since you're already there, I mean, you spoke to your college experience and being in that institution like the ones you're at. But how do you navigate that, right? You say pick your friends wisely. How do you pick your friends wisely, right? How do you look someone right in the face and then take that summer internship for them, right? Because like we know it's hard, but we all have to do it. So what to do, what not to do.
Um, you're just gonna have to like take the lessons in stride. To be honest, like you're not gonna not run into someone who sees you as a competition. You're not gonna not make friends with someone who's probably a bad friend. Like it's gonna happen, and you're gonna learn from it, and that's just life. Like that's what that's why people go to college to like besides getting a degree, is to prepare themselves for life. So you are gonna run into bad people. You are gonna run into negative people. You're gonna run into toxicity. But you're just gonna have to like take the lesson and learn from it instead of like letting it hold you down. Um, there's like I don't have any advice to avoid it because I haven't been able to avoid it, to be honest. But again, it's more about like not getting stuck in that situation and moving on and being able to learn from what happened. Um, I think that's like yeah, that's probably the best advice I have for that situation.
Yeah. I think it's really hard to tell someone in out of college how to navigate being in college. Like I've struggled to articulate what it's like being at Princeton day to day, the different dynamics, the different people, the different nuances of every situation, conversation you have, and internship you have. And so, like Red said, a lot of it is going to be a lesson. A lot of it is going to be an experience that you will have to learn from and, change because of. And I think what I can say is that's what you need to be prepared to do. A lot of people in college go, like I have upperclassmen friends who've gone 2 years, 3 years, and haven't changed as a result of their college experience, as a result of their negative experiences. And so while I can't necessarily say what you'll run into or how you can avoid it, I can say that the number one thing you have in control is your response to it, how you allow yourself to perceive that situation, and then how you go forward. And so if you meet a bad friend who's backstabbing you and you just can't figure out how to get their friendship away, the moment that you do, continue using those skills and strategies for keeping away negative people in the future. So if someone is being weird and they're like, let's go to lunch, you say, no, I don't want, you say no, you say I'm doing something else. And you continue using the strategies that you've learned from negative experiences to build positive experiences and growth in college.
And I'll also like say kind of what Chardon said about like upperclassmen. Like you can also just observe upperclassmen and see what they're going through and what they're doing. And if you're friends with upperclassmen, which like for me, I'm done with my sophomore year, so I'm going into a junior now. But like when I was a freshman and when I was a sophomore, like I was friends with a lot of upperclassmen, and I was able to like talk to them about like issues I had, things that were going on, especially when I was like picking my major. Um, like for the people like for my friends who were like concentrating in computer science, like I would ask them questions about it. So like you like utilize your upperclassmen for real, because that's kind of what they're there for, is to help you in a way.
And so, kind of like going through the navigating, it comes to the time where some things are just more than what you can handle by yourself, right? And so, and being in a place where you're so far from home and you're in a different state. I mean, y'all all the way in the Northeast. It gets cold. It gets cold. I'm sure like it's different, especially in places like Jersey or Massachusetts, right? Or just things that you're not used to handling. You don't think you're doing your own. What kind of support systems like are there at the university they're at, or maybe a community that you built, or a community that you found, whether on campus, off campus, online? Like, what resources are available to you, or have you seeked in to aid you during this journey?
Yeah. Um, So before I went to Princeton, I made a list of all the extracurricular activities I wanted to do and what purpose I wanted them to serve my life. And so you talked about support systems, and I think thinking back about it now, a lot of what I did and that list I made was to weave in the support system. And so I'll just get into it. GASA, our Generational African American Students Association. That was one of the first institutions that I joined because it's for Black people by Black people descended from slavery. And it was an opportunity for me to really immerse myself in the amazing Black diaspora that Princeton has. Being in GASA showed me that Princeton has 20 other Black groups, 20, 30 other Black groups, all doing amazing things. And that really allowed me to stay connected in my culture and stay supported in my culture as a minority at a predominantly white institution. And so that was sort of the cultural support. And then there was a level of me that wanted competition. There was a level of me that felt supported by winning in a competitive field. And so another thing that I joined was mock trial, Princeton's mock trial program, where, we're bonding together at every single competition and working hard together to be amazing people and to be amazing public speakers. And so I loved being in mock trial because it gave me that competitive support. And then one of the amazing resources that we had that I didn't realize until second semester was just therapy. Like, it was amazing being able to walk in and say, "Hey, I would like a black woman to talk with me about all my life issues." And you don't even have to be sad about it. Like, one day I just like, I want to go to therapy and see what it's like. And then I was there for the rest of the school year. And so having different supports and having the willingness to seek them out early, I sought out GASA and mock trial before I even came to Princeton. And, sticking with them and staying committed to them was one of the biggest ways that I found support, because it's so easy to have one good night with a friend and then not see them for the next week. But having those sort of institutional supports in your life and those commitments as a member of the GASA board, as a mock trialer, allowed me to really feel supported throughout the school year.
Yeah, I think affinity groups are gonna be your best bet for real. It's different for every school, but for my school, like, you could. I think when I went into, because I wanted to go to Harvard for one thing and one thing only, and that was a dance club, to be honest. And so, so that was like
Yeah.
that was the only club I knew about. But at Harvard, they have like a club fair, um, that you can go to. It's really big, and honestly, like, just follow the good music, and you'll find all the best affinity groups, and you'll be able to pick and choose which one you want to be in. And honestly, like, you don't even got to be that much of an active member for real, for real. It's just like, I'm sure it's the same at other schools, but for most of us, we be going to the events for food. So, like, just go to the events, eat some good food, hang out with people who look like you, ask questions if you want to. But really, like, you're going to want to hang out in these affinity groups because they're, especially at a PWI, like, it's so easy, especially when you're not hanging out with people who look like you, to feel ostracized, and to feel like start feeling imposter syndrome. So when you do feel that, like, again, you can just, you have those groups that are going to support you and hold you up. um and so those are like, that's where you at. For me personally, that's where I spend most of my time. Like, there's not one group I'm in that there's not a lot of black people, like, or it's not an all black org. So, and I'm not saying you have to do that, like, that's like, especially if you're in STEM and you're gonna want to, like, explore different things, you're probably going to be in clubs and orgs where, like, you go to a PWI, so what is there going to be predominantly white people, right? So that's going to be a thing, but just being in affinity groups are also going to help you feel safe and secure, because there's going to be groups, like, for us, we have women in computer science, we have his busy, which is literally just for black STEM majors. um there's so many, like, niche things. I think they have like pre-law, like, for black people in pre-law. Like, they have a bunch of different affinity groups for black people for different, like, things you're studying. So
So that's definitely something I would take notes on. I mean, for me personally, going into school, looking at that's the PWI, taking notes on looking for affinity groups and things like that. So thank you.
One question. How many are in your classes?
so it kind of, like, depends on the class. Like, we have sections, so, like, there's, like, classes, and then there's, like, sections, and, like, there's more. It depends on, like, the specific, like, class, but sometimes there's more sections than there are class, especially if the classes are big. So, like, in the actual class, like, there's probably a good amount, but, like, in my section, it's very often that I am, like, the only black person or the only black woman. In my sophomore tutorial for my art concentration, because I double concentrate in computer science and art. So in my sophomore tutorial for art, I was the only black woman and one of two black people, and we were both tired. Let's just say that. Actually, funny enough, like, the only class where there is, like, or the only like section I have where there's more like the most black people is in my Korean class, which is kind of funny, but yeah.
Um, yeah. So Princeton has a 50% white population, 30% Asian population, 13% people of color. And so many of my classes, just like Red said, you will be the only black person, in my case, black man in the class. But then, that's why I love taking certain classes like in the African American Studies department. Because like I took a class on Angela Davis my first semester, and that was a primarily black class. And so overall, you will be like you at any given point in time, because we have something I believe is similar to sections called precepts. In those 15 section classes or in those 15 section periods, you're probably going to be one of the only black people or black person. But yeah, overall, that's why you have to know where they are. Knowing where they are is a really big thing because you can spend your whole first year not knowing where your people are, and that's not a fun experience.
So even to add on to that, obviously, there's schools such as HBCUs where it's full of us, it's full of our community, and there's pros and cons to those schools as well. So I would say like as opposed to going to HBCU, right, going to these prestigious PWIs, what doors have you feel like are opened just by? I was talking about Drew with this earlier, and I sent you your emails, and it was just at Princeton.edu, at Harvard.edu, like. So like you don't even like at Gmail, like what's Gmail anymore, right? So it's just like what doors like you're opened up and that's just different opportunities that you see coming your way that you feel like you wouldn't necessarily get or just the advantages of being in a place like that. And even for all of its faults, you're there for a reason.
Um,
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Chardon, did you want to go?
uh, ju- you can go. You can go.
Okay. Um, I think, yeah. First of all, like just having the name is gonna follow you for the rest of your life. You're gonna be, as long as you're not like doing something stupid and crazy and like throwing your life away, you're gonna be pretty set, to be honest. Um, and so that's nice. Depending on like what you're doing and like where you're at and what groups and clubs you're in, you're gonna meet some people. I've met a couple of people. Again, like I'm STEM, but my biggest thing is dance for sure and like art. So I've met some really cool people. I've met some dancers that I like grew up watching, which is really really cool. Um, I've met some like film people as well, or like some actors. I'm like blanking on her name, but she was like the girl who was in Transformers. And it was really nice to meet her. And it's just like you get to
Fox?
meet. Sorry,
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox?
I don't know. No, she was in like or not Transformers. Yeah, Transformers. Don't remember. Don't remember. It's like the newer one with in New York with the one guy from the Bronx. Um, but she was really cool, and I've met this one rapper. I don't even know, but like you just get to meet cool people. Like you don't even know them, and you meet them. Like there's people I met. I'm like I don't even know you or what you do, but we got a picture together. You know what I mean? Like it's just fun. But like actual like serious doors, you're like you don't want to underestimate the people around you because honestly, like they're like when you graduate they're going to be graduating too or they're going to have already graduated and they're going to be the people who like you don't want to make friends with them because of that but they're going to be the people who can help you like and help you with opportunities and open doors for you and they're just like again like they're just interesting people. There's people who are studying very very niche things and it's just like have a conversation with them and you just find out so much about them and about yourself and it's really nice. um but yeah, there's so much opportunity around you when you go to college. There's so many doors around you. You just have to like actually open them sometimes. Like just like literally put your hand on the handle and open them. And that could just be by talking to someone, going to an event, anything.
You could have meeting people. Didn't you just meet Dr. Umar? Like, was
I definitely did see the man, the myth, the legend, the Prince of Pan-Africanism, Dr. Umar.
it?
I wasn't out of Princeton, but it was great. I tell you what,
Black Queens forever.
forever. And you know what?
uh,
Nobody's never. Let me tell you. But anyways, the doors that are open by Princeton. I want to say this in the least elitist way possible because, I don't, there's a big part and a big reputation that comes out every single time you say, yeah, I go to Harvard, yeah, I go to Princeton. So, like, I meet new people. And there are times where, when we talk about opening doors, sometimes when that door is open, the thing on the other side might treat you differently if they hear about the school you go to. And so, like, there are times where I just say, oh, I go to school in New Jersey. Oh, I go to school on the East Coast because there are a lot of nuances that come with not only going to a high level school, but an elite university like Harvard or Princeton. But overall, I think there are really like a lot of doors that are open just by being in college in general. And so like I met someone this year. Yeah, you meet a lot of people. You meet a lot of fun people. Like I said, Dr. Umar, Angela Davis. Like I said, I took a class on Angela Davis's life, and then she came and gave us a private lecture where, 13 people in the room, including her, for 3 hours talking about her work. That was amazing. Tyler James Williams from Abbott Elementary. So you meet a lot of cool people, even at just like an entertainment or like a this is a fun activity level. But there's also that professional networking career act level. And so like I met someone who just connected me with a lawyer in Cleveland. And so I'll be going to their law firm Wednesday to, shadow them for a day and work in their law firm for the day, just off of going to Princeton and knowing someone who knows someone. And so I think while that happens a lot at a lot of different universities, Princeton is one of those places where we have a very strong alumni connection. 25,000 of our alumni come back every year at reunions, and you get to be a server for them and rub their shoulder and say, hey, give me a job. And so there's a big open network at Princeton, a lot of open doors, but just be wary of what's on the other side. You tell certain people who might not have as much respect for the institution as you do.
For sure, for sure. And to even like, even I was thinking about this when I was going through, trying to brainstorm what to write supplementals about, and I was just like, not Andover. Bro told me his parents supply parts for Toyota, and
Hmm.
all the major car companies get their parts from him. So just think about like you're literally living with some of the most
Metal
richest people.
Rockefeller.
Yeah,
There's
you're
a
living
real
with some.
there's a Rockefeller at Princeton for sure. I met her, and there are rumors. I hate to cut you off, Hakeem,
It's fine, it's fine.
but and there are
It's your
rumors that
podcast.
Jeff Bezos's kid is there under a different name. And so, yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. There's a lot of open doors. Just gotta know. Just
Mm,
gotta know where to look.
Where did Jeff
like,
Bezos go to college?
Princeton. His name is on one of the buildings.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I wouldn't be surprised, bro.
so yeah, I mean, yeah. But it's like saying is you're literally just walking around with some of the future billionaires, maybe the first trillionaire ever, maybe the person to cure cancer could be right next to you. Or they could be at the small state school down the block from your hometown high school. I mean, it doesn't matter where you go. Well, it does, but where you go is not everything. And so, but you guys going where you went and putting in the work in high school gave y'all the leg up to go into the fields y'all go into, which unfortunately that leg up might just level the playing field because of the club you skip. So, like I talked about the classes y'all are in, you can feel imposter syndrome just by being there and not seeing many people that feel like you. And so, how do you manage it? I know I talked about affinity groups, but just where do you find the motivation to show up every day, sit in the lecture for an hour and a half to 3 hours, and everyone's experience is different from yours, but it's like it's hard to find any similarity, and you could just feel like it feels like there's two groups in the class. There's them and there's you, and so I mean that can just be, like a knife to the heart daily. So how do I just continue to pursue? How do I get up and go back to that environment every day?
Yeah. I think it's in the little things. Everyone talks about the highs of their freshman year or their sophomore year of high school. I went to Bosnia. I met Angela Davis. But no one really talks about that day to day, waking up at 9 a.m. for this class and then running within 10 minutes to get to the next class. And so I think you raise a very good point about how navigating that day to day can be really, really detrimental for imposter syndrome. And I think for me, it's definitely a work in progress. I'll never say that I'm the most confident person, especially when you're around people who have a lot more affluence than you, people who may have had more resources in high school than you. And so I'll never say that I don't feel imposter syndrome because that's 100% real. But how I manage it and how I navigate it is the little things. And so what I mean by that is, rewarding yourself for getting a really good grade on a test by having the night off or just like not studying or not doing anything like that. Or if you get a bad grade on a test, saying, "Hey, we're going to change this. We're going to instead of taking notes on our iPad, which I did my first semester, I went back to pen and paper." And so, learning how the little aspects of your day and the little changes of your day, whether that be your diet, uh, who you hang around, how you take notes, figuring out what are those small things that you can change because those build up your resilience over time to the day to day of being at university.
Yeah, for me, my like first 2 years, like my freshman year especially, but my sophomore year as well, were like awful. They were not great. They were not great at all. And so I think for me, like I've had like the mindset that if I could survive my freshman year where there was just so much stuff going on like in school but also really out of school, like I had a lot of family stuff going on. But my mindset is if I could survive my freshman year, I could survive pretty much anything because it was so bad. But in general, like hopefully, like you don't have that experience and you don't have to have that mindset. And so I would say, kind of like Chardon said, is like you're gonna want to find the small things that keep you going. You're gonna want to remember that what you think and what you believe is what you are. So if you are thinking and believing every single day that you're not meant to be here, you're that's just going to be kind of what you personify, right? So you're going to want to like always be thinking that you deserve to be here. Even the days where it's especially harder to believe that, you're still going to want to say it to yourself. Like you're going to look in the mirror and say it like I deserve to be here. I did the work to get here. Like that's going to be really important to keep you going. Again, like friends and affinity groups are also going to help. um Honestly, like my favorite group was my dance team, Omanija. Shameless plug, you should follow us on Instagram. But my dance team really helped me for real because I love dancing and dancing is what I do when I feel down and feel sad. And so whenever it was just like whenever we had practice and I knew I had a tough day, it was just so fun being there and learning the choreography and dancing, and I'm surrounded by black people, and it's just so amazing. Like you have good music, good laughs, and I'm dancing, which I love to do. So you're gonna want to find those groups that really like help you keep pushing. You want to find the friends that help you keep pushing. Like my best friend right now, literally met her by chance. She's actually the reason I joined this group. Like met her by chance, and literally we were roommates, and we're best friends to this day. And she's helped me keep going. I've helped her keep going. Like you're gonna want to find your people. Again, even though these people are going to help you, it's also going to be solely about you because if you do not believe in yourself, no one around you is going to believe in you. So you have to believe in yourself. You have to continue pushing even when you don't feel like it. You're going to want to like you're going to want to use discipline and consistency over motivation because motivation is short lasting. Like no one's motivated 24/7. But I'm barely motivated like one day of the week, like literally. So you're gonna want discipline and consistency. That's gonna be what keeps you going for sure, for sure.
Um,
So just to
just that small thing about motivation, external things, because you may not feel it internal, but one thing that got me up every single morning without fail was the idea of drinking a cold brew. I love coffee with all my heart and soul. And so, sort of placing outside rewards for you doing things is very, 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 that's how I survive. That was one of my little things. But yeah, what were you saying, Hakeem?
I would say like think about sticking to discipline. Like I guess everyone's different, but what works for y'all? Like is it a schedule? Does that keep you disciplined, or is it a bit more freeway? Just that little okay, like I'll figure that out later, and that is your form of discipline of just, or maybe even like you say you procrastinate because they say procrastination is bad, but you give yourself the last hour because like then you'll get it done in that last hour, right? So like what works for you guys? Like is it the schedule? Do you give yourself a little bit more leeway to hang out, to talk? Do you like leave it in God's hands? Like what's your I don't know, but what's your routine, I would say?
I think this is low-key why they say do as I say and not as I do. Because honestly, my discipline is not like the greatest. It's not the greatest. Like I think like sometimes I don't even go into class to be honest. But like don't do that.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Go to class.
Please don't do that.
Go
Go
to
to,
class.
but I think for me like something that I've definitely used is honestly like I have my calendar. I've actually have several calendars because I like have ADHD, so I like need like 3 different calendars to keep me on track. Um, but like setting in your calendar like times to actually do work, because like you can set your classes, you can set your lunch times, you can set your times to hang with friends. But if you don't set times to do work, you're not gonna actually do your homework, and that's gonna be like really important. Is to know when you're going to sit and do that work, because if you don't have that scheduled and someone comes to you and says, oh, let's go to this party, you're going to be at that party and not doing work, and then your grade's going to tank. So don't do that. Do your work, please. Schedule time to do work. um, Schedule time for yourself as well, because that's going to be important. Like I know for me, I'm not a social person, so I go to social interaction and I'm drained, and I'm totally drained. So I like to schedule time for myself to be by myself so that I can like recuperate and re-energize to do work, to hang out with more people. Like that's going to be a big thing as well. um and then what else, oh, like sleeping on time. Like I know it's the thing, college students don't go to sleep, they get like 4 hours of sleep. Don't do that. Do not do that. First of all, if you don't get enough sleep, you're not gonna like, your brain's not gonna like conceptualize and synthesize everything you learn. So you're not gonna like, whatever you learn that day is gonna be useless. Second of all, it's just you're gonna be groggy. You're not gonna want to continue learning. You're not gonna want to go to your classes. And again, I know that because I wouldn't get enough sleep and then I wouldn't go to my classes. So don't do that. Like you really need to be getting enough sleep. Like for me, my absolute cutoff time is like I think it was two a.m. because I had a 10:30 class, which I woke up at 9 a.m. for. So I was making sure I got at least 7 hours of sleep. Like 7 to 9 is what you need to be getting. Don't get anything less than 7. Sometimes you can do 6, but it shouldn't really be more than like 2 times a week, right? Don't be pulling all nighters. That destroys your body. Put the Celsius down, please. That's bad for
The Celsius. Ow. I can't do it. I'm so sorry. I had Celsius once, heart palpitations. No,
What?
down.
you. If you take care of your health, like that's gonna, like if your health is bad, like your whole college experience is gonna be bad, bro. Like you really need to be taking care of your health. That's gonna be what helps you keeps you disciplined. Because if your body's not together, if your mind's not right, it don't matter. It don't matter what else is going around you. You're not gonna be set right. So like you gotta keep your mind together if you want discipline. That's the biggest thing. And also like working out, like it don't even have to be anything serious. Go for a walk. Me and my best friend, we love going for walks, especially if we know we're studying for a bit, like we're studying for a long time. You need to take a break anyways. Like y'all should be using like certain methods. There's like certain methods of studying. But you need to take a break anyways. And so like just go for a walk. Like it'll help clear your head. Especially like personally, like my PWI is in Cambridge. Like I don't got to worry about no one shooting me, so I'm gonna go for a walk at night. Like that's all I know. I can't do that back here.
Can't do it here. I can do it at Princeton. Yep. Yep.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, bro, like use your resources. They're there for you. Like, if I'm like having a bad day, like I can just go and book a studio and go and dance. Like, use your resources sincerely. And I know I'm kind of drifting off topic, but on the point of using your resources, like you got study abroad, you got all these other different things. Like, you gonna like use those, please. When I came into Harvard, I knew I was going abroad on their dime. Like I knew it. Like that's and then bro, my first year, I think it was like once I finished my first semester, I was in Korea over winter break. And then I was in Japan over summer. And now I'm going back to Japan. And guess what? I ain't paid nothing. And so you need to like use your resources and study abroad. Like I'm studying abroad in Korea my junior year. That's all I'm saying. It's like there's like again, talking about opening doors, the doors are there. You just have to put your hand on the handle and open it.
Yeah. They paid for my passport. I got here September. I got my passport in November. They pay. I told I was out of here. Definitely use your resources. But to the point of self-discipline, this is me. I'm very, very like neurodivergent, and so every minute of my day was scheduled out at Princeton. Like be a block that just said 9 a.m. get up and do things and get ready for work or get ready for classes. And that's just like my Google Calendar. Like every Sunday, I'd sit down and plan out the week. I put various reminders in my phone at certain times so I could be reminded of that on that day what I needed to do. And so that's a bit much, but it works for me because it allows me to feel sort of in control of a lot of things because you're going to feel a lot of out of control at different schools you go to. And so my Google Calendar and my, way that I schedule things was very, very an opportunity for me to say, if nothing else is going right now, my calendar is set. I know what I will be doing at this time, this time, this time, and this time. And one of the biggest things that Red was saying that I think is important in terms of discipline is how you treat yourself. And so I've been working a lot on that this year. You know, I loved when you mentioned the walking part because there was a point in Princeton where I was dedicated to getting 10,000 steps a day. I would be walking around in the middle of the night just at random places, had no idea where I was until I saw that 10K on my thing. So physical activity, I got really into, when you grow up, you might not have as many good accesses to food resources. But when I got to Princeton, it was like I could have so many different things, and I chose to really invest in the healthier aspect of the Princeton food. And so, exercise, diet, those sort of discipline things make you feel a lot better. Like there are times where I can say like I had my vegetables today. I'm very healthy. And that's very validating at times when, you're feeling groggy or you're feeling sad. And so, sometimes just practicing something can give you that semblance of motivation to say that I can keep going. And so me having cucumbers on a specific day was a motivation for me to do my work.
Yeah, and also not to get like too philosophical life guru here on y'all, but like to be honest, the habits you build in college are going to follow you in your life. So if you are not doing good habits in college, you're not gonna have good habits when you graduate. Like sincerely, that's what it like. You're here to build your life, and you need to like get into a schedule, get into a flow. Like Chardon said, like a calendar is gonna help, but like you also need to just like get into the flow and have it in your body. Like there are times where like once I've gotten through probably like a good half of the semester, like my calendar is helpful, yes, but I don't even need to look at my calendar because I know where I'm going after my class. I know what shuttle I'm taking. Like I know exactly when the shuttle is coming. I don't even have to look at the shuttle app, right? Because I'm in that flow and I have that in my body now. And so for me personally, like whenever I like whenever the school semester starts, I get there as early as I can so I can like start getting into a schedule because you don't want to be unpacking like on the first day, right? So because you want to already be like getting your body into the mindset of school, like you need to be into that mindset. You need to know when you're gonna work out. You need to know what you're gonna eat. Like that's why people like do meal planning and stuff because it's really helpful. I mean, you don't have to, but it can be helpful. But yeah, you want to have a schedule because that's why like some college students they just be eating ramen and destroying their bodies because they don't have a schedule. Like they just be like going with the flow. And that's not I'm not saying that being spontaneous isn't bad because there are times where I throw out my schedule to go hang out with my friends in an effective way. Once I know I've already completed my homework, like you because you don't want to be stumbling back from a party and realizing you have what a 2-page paper that you have to read for tomorrow. No, do it before you go to the party because then you don't have to worry about it. And like they also have the syllabus. Like honestly, like that's what the syllabus is for. Like every single time, and when I get that syllabus released, I start making a master syllabus, and I have everything listed out. And if I can start working on assignments, I'm gonna start working on assignments. If I can start doing readings, I'm gonna start doing readings because it's gonna save. Like it sounds like a lot, but it's gonna save you so much. Because if you've already done the readings, you already know what they're gonna talk about. You don't gotta do that extra work when you get there. Like you've already done it, right? So like you just want to make sure you're planning ahead, staying ahead, get into a schedule, get into a flow. Like that's gonna be the most important part.
For sure. Not to bring it back to, we don't want to get you in trouble, but I want the honest truth. Not just in your universities, but just in the field that you're in overall in your leisure. What would you change? Like, what do you see besides like just more inclusivity and like more opportunities? Like, what's one thing that you see that you like? What's one thing that you imagine changing at some point, or even now you're like that could be changed? You just maybe have been able to solidify that. Like, what do you think needs to transform?
I could say just a small part of Princeton. Like I was talking about before, Princeton has an amazing Black diaspora where there are many, many different Black groups on campus. And what that means is the Black groups occasionally are in competition with each other and, for events, for funding, for different things. And so one of the things that I've picked up this school year is the desire to eventually sort of, I forget the word, but sort of conglomerate those organizations into one larger group where there are different subsidiaries for different aspects of the Black community. Because I hate the idea of, us being 13% of the population at the school and, we're in competition with each other for funding. We're in competition with each other for certain dates so that we can throw events. And so one of the things, just a small aspect of Princeton, and specifically Black Princeton, that I'd like to change eventually, is figuring out different ways for us to come together more as a single institution, because that shows that, we are a single diaspora and we are a united diaspora at Princeton. And so that's one of the things that I'd change.
Um, honestly, that's a really hard question for me. I don't. There's definitely things that need to be changed, but I don't think I can like say anything outside of like things being more like just being more inclusive. Like I know you said like outside of that, but like I feel like that's just like the biggest thing like on campus. Like again, we have all these affinity organizations, but kind of what Chardon was mentioning about like one big diaspora is that always gonna feel divided if we don't like aren't like fully being more inclusive in different aspects of different orgs, right? And so I would say like I guess like also like within the minority groups, like for Black people, just feeling more motivated to intercept those spaces where we're not really always welcome per se. Like I know it's like kind of daunting and it can be like really really disheartening and everything when you like have these groups and stuff that don't want you there, but like again, like I said, you deserve to be here, you got in, so it's for you. It's a club for you. So even if they don't want you there, like you should still go and be there if you can. Like this is for so many different events, and again, like also for the real world. Like there's gonna be a lot of places where people don't want you, but don't be like don't choose to not go just because they don't like. You can obviously protect your peace, but like if you know it's going to be beneficial for you, go, because it doesn't matter what other people think. Is again, as long as you know that you deserve to be here and you're confident in yourself, what other people think does not matter, right? Like you came here to get your degree, to get a job, to get an education, so keep that in your mind. Like your why for going to college is what's going to keep propelling you to do things and to opening doors for yourself. So keep that in mind when you're going to these different places, because they're meant for you. No matter what other people say, they're meant for you, and you're going to take them because that's what you need to do if you want to excel.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Oh, amazing. Y'all have put y'all's heart and soul and mind, all the lessons that y'all have learned from sophomore year, freshman year, just in general, everything learned. throughout your life to get to where you are now. Um, do you all have any last words of advice for anyone interested in STEM, anyone interested in going to Ivy League schools, anyone interested in being successful in their life? What is the one thing you would say to them right now?
Again, like just don't let people discourage you because if you know you did the work, like someone who's over there being pathetic and racist shouldn't really affect you. Because, like I said, they're pathetic and racist and misogynistic or whatever. Like you know you're great, you know you're important. So do what you came here to do, which is get a degree, just get a job, which is find somewhere to work and be comfortable and whatever you want to do, you know that you want to do that. So like I would say like keep that somewhere on your wall. Keep it on your computer, like the little space next to the mouse pad. So you can like like if you're feeling discouraged, you can just like look at it and remember what you're here to do and keep going. And that doesn't mean like keep pushing yourself past the point of no return. Like obviously take breaks when you need to take breaks, but like again, it's just about that mindset and like believing in yourself. Because like I said, if you don't believe in yourself, no one around you is gonna believe. It don't matter if they're someone who's just like who doesn't even go here, who's just in the cafe that you go to, or if they're like the executive person who you're trying to get a job for. Like if you don't believe in yourself, no one else is gonna believe in you. So you just need to make sure you're remembering your why, you're keeping your confidence up, and if it's feeling low, like talk to people you know, talk to your friends, go to those groups that you love. But yeah, my biggest piece of advice is to always be confident in yourself. And if you're not feeling confident, fake it until you make it. Because everyone fakes it at some point. So no one's gonna know if you're faking it. Yeah.
Um, yeah. I mean this more toward people of color, first generation college students. When you're born into a world that isn't necessarily made for you, you have a right to be greedy. You have a right to take every single opportunity you see or make those opportunities. And so if you want something, there's 100% a way to get it. When I wanted the presidential scholars, I looked up US presidential scholars and emailed every single LinkedIn. I LinkedIn messaged every single previous US presidential scholar I could find and made a 15-minute Zoom call with them because I saw that as an opportunity to learn how to perfect my application. When I wanted Questbridge, I was up at 1 a.m. writing essays because I saw that as an opportunity for me to accomplish my dreams. And so I mean this like very, very passionately. Take every opportunity you see, take all the chances that you need to take all the risks, and be willing to take the rejection and move on to the next opportunity and sink your teeth into everything you have an opportunity to have. And so there are so many times where I'm like, why did I do this? Why did I just randomly say yes to this? But as I'm doing it and as I'm feeling engaged by it, it's so validating. And I realize that this was an opportunity for me to better myself. And so be greedy, take every opportunity you can if you really, really want something.
Man, I should go write a book.
Honestly,
Literally.
college for real, real talk.
All right. Nah, but thank you. That's all the questions we had today. I mean, man, y'all went above and beyond. Has so much knowledge, even just being what, like Chardon a year older than us
Hmm.
and knowing all of this, Red a year older than us too, and still just it's insane. It's insane. But I just want to thank y'all for coming out. Thank y'all for sharing your knowledge, taking y'all time out of your days, go. I know y'all getting ready to do big and great things. So I say thank you. I want to thank everybody for watching. Can't wait to see you all again. Maybe we get these two on another episode one of these days. You got to bring them back. I know they have so much more to share.
For
And
sure.
even in a few months, they're gonna have whole new stories to share with y'all. But yeah, check all of our social pages. We post weekly on information on business and STEM, college resources, and all that. That's
Indeed.
to everybody. Have a great day. Drew, any words?
Talk. Follow us, man. YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. We're expanding our programs nationally. So regardless if you're in Memphis, New York, Ohio, Massachusetts, wherever, it doesn't matter. We're trying to get to you. We're trying to help you succeed your dreams. Okay. So follow us on a journey if you want to receive these programs, receive these services, because we're here for you. This was founded by me and Hakim because we saw the need, because we saw that there was a gap that needed to be bridged. And so if you got gaps, I know everyone does, then we're here for you. So subscribe, follow, comment, all that. Send it to a friend. If you found this helpful, then let us know. We're doing more of these. This was fun for us to do. Because again, we're college students, incoming college students. So
Yeah, right.
they're giving, I mean, it's helping us.
Yeah, this is information for us too. This isn't just for y'all. I'm taking notes as we speak. I'm gonna watch it again too.
Exactly. So been in here for a little minute, but that's it. We out. See y'all.
Peace, love, thank you.